although it is a very rare item. However, it will enable them to speed up the opening boss of this run.
So, of course, the pipe ball is always appreciated. It can be used in a number of places.
Exactly, yes. I mean, any drops gained early game can still be proven useful at any point.
All right, and they're off, and right away we get the auto potion and the pipe ball, which the auto potion they hope to keep for the whole game unless they use it in their trick later. Whereas the pike ball, there's actually 2 options that they can go with the pike ball, and we'll see what these runners do. Most of the time, they're going to be using it in a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, like really shortly to help speed up a little bit on this bridge that they're coming up. But for now, JT got a meat chunklet, which isn't particularly useful specifically, but any food item can be helpful to speed things up a little later, as you'll see when they use it.
Yeah, if not used for the speed, it will always be used for its intended purpose of safety healing as well. So that'll be runner's choice and preference in regards to how they want to handle that. Just to add to the... Oh, go on.
Yeah, and JT using the pike ball here, it saves a little bit of time by killing those explosives on the bridge a little bit more quickly, and if he's lucky, he can use it through the entire first boss, which helps. Kidofseph not using it, and as you can see, he's already a little bit behind. Plus, he did fall. That doesn't help. And here's Ammo Baron, which can actually be a pretty RNG heavy boss. He can shoot or not, and he can charge or not. And JT looking like he's getting a pretty good one right away. Christoph
stopping a couple of charges there, but the one thing we do know with Ammo Baron is if he decides to charge, or if he decides to shoot his cannonball, and we know for that particular phase he will not charge until the red cannonball is struck or has been dissolved. So they could use that term to their advantage, and unfortunately, Ammo Baron really not being nice to either runner overall, to be perfectly honest. But this is only the first opening part of the game. There's plenty of points where RNG can sway either side, but RNG doesn't affect the run in a sense of it will kill you outright. It's just different segments that could troll you and other segments that could play in your favour. So
yeah,
we get to see what happens.
The RNG isn't like minutes. It's more like maybe a couple minutes at worst. It's not like this huge swaying like in an RPG or something where you might get back attacks or whatever, but it's most of it's in bosses and a couple other spots. And now we're having some story. Shantae doesn't actually own a bathtub, but yet she gets into a bathtub and doesn't even realize it, and it turns out to be, oh my god, a trap by Risky Boots.
Shout out to Trap Tub.
Yep. Who actually wants to recruit her sworn enemy, to kill the Pirate Master, who's released these cacklebats? I don't even remember anymore.
It's believed that the dark magic that is consumed over Sequin Land is a sign of the Pirate Master's return to the arena. Right. Risky's just trying to do her very best to prevent that from happening, as we'll explain a bit more on the story as the game unfolds. But as a result, they decide to team up in order to attack a common foe.
Right, and that cacklebat is the only one you will see killed in the game, because we are doing an 80% run, which means the worst ending. Oh, what is JT doing? I have no clue why he did that. He must have hit something. Is he playing on the Switch version?
He is indeed. There has been some notoriety with the PC version where the game has a potential chance of crashing, which has happened once or twice in this tournament so far, which is certainly something you don't want to see. But for some reason, the console versions are actually a lot more stable, although the Switch version is a bit slower. From what I've worked out roughly, I believe, compared to the PC version, it's actually not too bad. It's like 15, 16 seconds overall over the course of the run. So you believe he's playing the version more for the sake of he doesn't have to worry about the game crashing on him, at least.
Right. So after the one mandatory save of the game, they're off to go to the palace, and you'll see that they're going to run into enemies in trying to get to drops. It doesn't look like anyone got a drops. I kind of unfortunately missed a little bit of that because my stream hung, but I didn't see any from Kidofseph, and I don't think JT got any either.
Yeah, I think Scarecrows were a bit stingy there, but that's pretty common, to be perfectly honest, as Nori having some fun in this who is here. Pretty much what you're seeing there, what they were doing is actually doing a little bit of a trap by getting themselves caught in between the roof and the snake. By doing this, you can actually duplicate or even triple the kills that you do on them, and the game registers each kill as a potential item drop, and because they need 3 flesh pops before they can advance the story, it just gives them more opportunity to actually get those flesh pops that they need so they can progress.
And it looks like Kidofseph got his pretty quickly with just 2 snakes. Then they pick up the travel shore, which
I'm not sure. I think he only got 2, but I might have missaw it. But it looks like he's moving on, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, he got them all.
My eyes are bad.
The travel shore is the first item you can get out of order by playing pirate mode. Normally, you would have to defeat the first dungeon and come back here to get that, but because we already have the gun, you can just pick it up and then go get the squid oil, which we'll be needing later.
Yeah, there'll be several instances of sequence breaking throughout this run, thanks to the aspect of having all the pirate equipment from the get-go. So that'll help them a lot throughout this, throughout their blitzy fun, I guess. There's Nori all set and good for the meantime, as he'll be making his way back and across. I don't think he's got a pipe ball, so he won't be using that idea, unfortunately. Usually, if you'd have a pipe ball at this point, they may use it to kill a couple of those orcs rather than jumping over them. But they'll still be attempting to get the Scarecrows to try and get some drops.
Right, because going back, you just don't have enough hit points to kill the... a hit point power, I guess, to kill the orcs in one shot. So Kidofseph not jumping over him, just deciding to hit him, which doesn't really help, but it will mean that as he hits the other enemies later, it won't slow down. So, and him getting a super pipe ball, that's really good.
Nice. Yeah,
and
that's one of the main items you really want.
A normal monster belt is also good.
Wow. RNG favoring gear. Yeah, as I mentioned, I was going to say the two of the main items you really want from them. They could drop quite a few things, but the Super Pipe Ball and the Monster Milk are 2 things you really would like to see.
And Kidofseph forgetting to go back to the library. Go back to Sky and return the library card, but
Oops.
So that's going to lose him a few seconds. Yeah, you get 100 monies. It's the only place in the series, as far as I know, that they actually call it monies. But supposedly that's considered the canon name for them. We just call them gems because, they look like gems.
Well, if we're being technical, they kind of look like rupees, but that might be kind of a copyright thing. So we best not do that.
I don't know. I don't think they really look the same, but similar. But...
They're close enough. Either way is second island up and going through Saliva Island. You'll see apparently why it's known as Saliva Island. Well, what you'll be seeing here is when they get up the top for the Gigalumix, trying to go for 2 tricks. One of them is pretty straightforward. The other one not so much. The one that they'll be able to get pretty straightforward is by pausing and unpausing once they've released the hand stink, and by doing this it skips the Gigalumix's blinking animation, saving them roughly 4 seconds off of their time. On top of that, there is a way of being able to trigger the dialogue and actually lip off the edge right by the Gigalurmix, which would also save another 4 to 5 seconds, preventing the time of that hamstink actually going up or traversing over to go up the Gigalurmix's nose.
Yeah, and as a result of all that stuff, he's going to get the Petrify spell, which will allow him to open the first dungeon. Normally you would have to go all the way around through this thing that we just sort of... first you have to get the ring and all this stuff. It's a huge sequence break, again, just because of pirate mode. It's that's why this run is... That's why people run pirate mode, basically.
It's a lot of fun to run, but I say just the fluidity of the game, especially with how the weapons mesh together for the most part. It's just a nice smooth run to do. And yeah, just to mention, shock, shock, horror, horror, petrify spell actually petrifies. The old man actually wanted it to revive his wife from petrification, but yeah, that was kind of a backfire.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
It's kind of dark, but it's great for humor, so you know. And then now JT entering what's essentially a bonus area. It's basically a sort of remake of the original first dungeon in the original Game Boy Color game called the Spittle Maze. And the reason for coming in here is we're going to get a couple of keys as well as some money. These 2 keys will save a lot of time later, and since keys are dungeon independent, it doesn't matter that we're getting them now.
Exactly that. These keys will come into play about halfway into the run. As mentioned, keys are not mandatory to any individual dungeon per se, so they're able to stockpile it, and it'll probably eliminate roughly 2/3 of a later lab. So definitely worth coming in. Plus those extra gems certainly help.
And JT using the first instance of using a food item to cancel the animation of getting the key, which saves a few seconds.
Yeah, that animation skipping, pretty much what he did there. Sorry, he used a food item or a potion whilst picking up another item, and it negates the animation of Shantae holding the item above her head, and instead plays the food eating or potion consumption animation in its place. And because that animation is faster, it saves about 2 to 3 seconds of time, dependent on how our runners execute their menuing.
Right, and another time save that you saw JT do and Kid is coming up on is the way the game works is if you fall into spikes or in, say, this water here that you can't come out of, you basically go back to the beginning of the room. So basically what happens is it's a sort of little mini death warp. Saves a decent amount of time rather than having to go all the way back to the beginning of the room. Yeah,
definitely. As we now have our not opening boss, but our opening dungeon boss, the Cyclops plant. Here, they'll be doing a similar method to what they would do with the snakes. They'll be trying to get themselves trapped in between the ceiling and the eyeball to be able to rip health dramatically and absolutely wreck this boss.
And JT missing the first move up, but he gets it on the second try, and for this phase 2, looks like he's doing pretty well. Oh, he got smacked. So he's going to have to smash the eye from the behind, and killing it was not too bad.
Yeah, nice fight there, to be fair, not too bad.
Meanwhile, Kidofseph is killing those fishmen, and he's using the scimitar instead of the cannon because the scimitar will hit them both at the same time, and also can keep going rather than having to stop and reload.
Exactly that. Just enables to rip through the wet man a bit quicker. So far, so good as we get ready for the next island. Just to put into perspective, Spiderweb Island, home of probably the most Marmite section of the run.
Infamous, perhaps.
Oh, you can say that again.
And here's Kid at Cyclops Plant. Let's see how he does. Oh, and perfect first phase. Just went right up and took care of him in 2 seconds.
Nice. Yeah, as mentioned, Kid opting not to use his monster milk here, so I'm gonna guess he's probably gonna be saving it for the Emperor Spider, which will be the next boss of the run.
Having a little trouble with phase 2 though. And he gets it without that much trouble. Meanwhile, JT going up toward Roddy Tops.
Oh, this section. This is the Marmite section of the run, people. You either love it or you hate it. Right, so Run Roddy Tops itself, pretty much this is this game's version of an auto-scroller. It's not an auto-scroller, but it kind of feels like it, one way of putting it. I encounter a couple of things here, ranging from grabby hands to kissy bots, licky tongues, and an enemy simply dubbed the Stevens. Not really sure how or why, but they are the Stevens, and
someone claims to have named them the Stevens, and it stuck, I guess. I forget who said it,
yeah.
who named them that.
Definitely will. Yeah, shout out to Cabbage for that, for dubbing of the Stevens. As, yeah, there's a couple of things that you can do to speed this section up. One of them, which you've would have seen Nori do, is just being able to slide down the side of the tongues, and also you'd be able to do a shuffle in the secondary room with the tongues to manipulate the tongue on the bottom floor. Apart from that, there's not too much you can do to officially speed this section up. There's a couple of little RNG elements of how the spike pillars may work, but apart from that, it's a case of just hoping for the best and not getting hit, because also to mention, there is no health meter when you're in this section. Simply, you take a hit, you go back to the beginning of the room that you were in, and you'd have to redo that room. So this area can rip time, depending on where you get hit.
Yeah, but on the same time, it's pretty much the same every time, outside of those few little things, the spikes. So you know where you can go and how you take it. It's basically the same thing each time, outside of this one room with the tombstones. That room can be a little bit annoying, that JT is at right now. These tombstones, we know which ones can come alive, but we don't know when they'll come alive.
Or even if. It is literally up to the game on that one, but as a safety precaution, because we know which ones to jump over, they will automatically be jumping over those ones, so just to save themselves accidentally just running into one which decides to just stand up and go, hello, and
And JT accidentally falling into those hands, but thankfully not getting hit by him.
Oh, that was no accident, sir. That was no accident. He done it on purpose. Yeah, that's a little thing we know as stake jumps. Pretty much jumping into those hands before their actual hitboxes activate, so you can actually jump in and jump out. It doesn't do any favours for a speed run, but it's been a running gag with certain runners of the community where you don't do a stake jump, your run's not verified.
Oh,
and
wow.
some of us kind of took it to heart in a jokey sense. I mean, I still do them for myself. It's like, nope, got to do it, otherwise I'm not allowed to run. But yeah, that's just a little inside joke with certain members of the community.
Now, Kid getting a little trouble, but as we've said, he's new to the game, pretty new to the game, so he's actually doing really well so far, I think.
Yeah, so far he's not done too bad. He's been keeping up a relatively good pace so far. So fair play. And yeah, we've seen the Stevens now. Those big giant white snakes that shoot out little baby white snakes are the Stevens. Hello, Stevens.
And that's all that we're going to say about this.
Yeah. Notice Nori actually got the gates of hell being open, so that was favourable.
And he's in the final room, which is the longest one, and it takes quite a while, throwing everything that you've come before at you, and if you mess up at the end, you have quite a long time to waste.
Yeah, taking a hit in this area, in the last room, especially near the end, it'll pretty much rip a good 20 to 30 seconds. So you really don't want to take a hit here.
So JT getting through that, and coming to the end, where we find out that Risky was faking it all along.
Wait, Risky was faking it?
Sorry, Roddy Tops. I always...
That was a nice disguise, Risky. She had me fooled. Fair play.
I'm not the only one who accidentally mixes up those two all the time.
Oh, don't worry. I generally keep getting the boss's names mistaken so many times in every single game, so I'm not one to judge.
You know?
Oh, excuse me.
Unfortunate hit by the kissy robot on Kidofseph.
Oh, yeah, that's probably one of the longest rooms in the section as well. Luckily, it was only about halfway in, so it won't destroy him too bad, but it is a bit of a time loss. And just to note, Nori would have picked up probably one of the most valuable items in this run, even though it's not, but a good old shrivel thing, which, by the way, it smells. It always smells. And it's very vital you know that, because it's pretty much one of the only text boxes you cannot skip in this game. Don't ask. I don't know. It's just very important that you know it smells.
Well, you know, apparently it smells. Also, apparently, JT is going to skip most of this dungeon. I mean, not apparently, but because with pirate mode, rather than having to go all the way around and finding these Tulsa coil things and turning them on, making the wind go up, all you have to do is chop up. But first he's going to take a small detour to fight this Batgirl thing, first of all to get a key, and second of all to hope to get a drop.
Yeah, there's one of two keys that would generally be used to go for as part of your key stockpile, but this is usually the route they would generally go for, mainly for, as mentioned, that Bat Lady having the potential chance of dropping either a Super Monster Milk, a Super Pipe Ball, or a Pirate Flare. So, well, Nori knows too well about Pirate Flares.
Getting a Pirate Flare, apparently.
Right on cue! Oh, God, no. Guarantee you now he's probably going mental. But it's a drop at least, so it's definitely worth a value, but for whatever reason, it's the lowest item you can get from the Bat Lady, apart from absolutely nothing. But Nori has a habit of getting a Pirate Flare, and we have no idea why.
Well, he's just lucky.
Commentator's curse strikes again. I really gotta learn to shut up.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the keys are stockpiled up and ready. As Kid will be making his way to pick up his shrivel thing. By the way, that smells too.
And JT about to come up to the second boss, or third boss, I guess. Second dungeon boss, which is the Emperor Spider, and using the Super Pipe Ball, and basically what you can do is you cannon up and try and get right into the hitbox, and it could sort of give a feedback loop, and you can sort of have an infinite jumping if you get it right, and it'll kill the spider pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's the fastest strat, but also the riskiest, having a game of chicken with the Emperor Spider. One of the tricks that you'll be aiming to go for will be, it knows a stun lock by actually whipping before you take damage. Instead of knocking Shantae out of the air into the floor, it will stun her mid-air and it replenishes those cannon strikes so they can repeatedly stay in the hitbox. Nori taking it a bit more conservative, which can't say I blame, because I mean the game of chicken, there's a good chance of losing the auto potion. That's a safety you probably don't want to lose in a tournament setting.
Yeah, but and JT finishing it off while Kidofseph starts the dungeon.
See what items he gets. I mean, Nori got that Pirate Flare, but also I'm pretty sure he also got a Super Pipe Ball from one of the skeletons on the way in as well. So he'll at least be happy to at least have an additional Super Pipe Ball in his backlog.
Meanwhile, Kid getting a normal Pipe Ball, which is always useful for a number of things.
Yeah, more than likely be using it for the Bat Lady, I would have thought.
Yep, indeed. And And Kid getting a super pipe ball from the Bat Lady.
So both getting a drop, so they're both worth it. I mean, the main item they would have wanted would have been the Super Monster Milk. Very high damage as well as the most costly consumable item in the shop, so that would have helped them even more, but at least getting a drop makes it worth it.
And JT trying to kill the Scorp Girl for a Super Monster Milk or a Super Pike Ball, but not getting it, only getting the gem.
Damn. Yeah, Scorp Girls will drop one of those 3 items, and we at least know it is guaranteed to be one of the 3. Unfortunately, there's more percentage favour for the gems, so it is a bit of a risk-reward technique to take on, but if RNG plays in your favour, it's very useful.
Although we do have a forced fight with 2 of them later, however, that's pretty much the last time you get a chance to fight them. So you have to kind of risk that if you don't have any by that point.
There's also possibly one additional one if they choose to go for the key in the Lost Catacombs. May cost them a little bit of time, but a chance for another drop. They may consider it if they believe their item management is low. So I mean, a big part of running this game as well is how you handle your item management throughout your run and how you'd execute it against which certain bosses. So they'll know the number of items they'll want, but based on the RNG, mainly with Tan Line Island, will pretty much dictate how their layouts are going to be and whether or not they're going to choose to take an additional shot or even grind out for additional gems to cover their losses.
Right, and JT, now he has to go find this code by sort of using the X-ray specs to get these 3 statues.
I was going to O, but I've just realised my mistake straight away. I thought he forgot to go shopping. He's actually taking a 2-shot route that was implemented from another runner by the name of Majati, where he actually delays that shop intentionally so he can get a couple more gems and cover his backside even more so.
And Kid getting low health on the spider and actually using a health item for its intended purpose.
I can't say I blame him. I mean, as long as he keeps that auto potion, he'll at least feel okay enough. I mean, that backup safety to be used in an emergency is definitely worth having.
Indeed. And JT now going to get the 3rd statue, which is back on Tan Line item, as well as grabbing along the way a very cheesy looking sword, I want to say. And also picking up both a bubble shield and a monster drop. The bubble shield is a great drop because it'll need it for the final boss.
Definitely. And of course he's not going to go shy, I guess, with that monster milk. I mean, that's one of the main items he'd like. I mean, of course he'd like the super monster milk more, but any milk at least will give him something to work with. Also getting at least 1 super pipe ball. He might have got 2 from those skeletons. I'm not 100% on that though.
And Kid also getting his bubble shield through his first trip from Tan Line, but unfortunately also getting a gem from the Scorp Girl.
Yeah, he's got a monster milk from the cacti as well, so he's gonna be at least happy with that.
And another gem from the Scorp Girl for JT. Feels bad, man.
Scorp Girls are not playing nice today. Oh, well, that's pretty much the norm. As now we'll be entering our next lab. Well, side lab, I guess is one way of putting it. Tan Line Island, Tan Line Temple, sorry. This is Tan Line Island with a Tan Line Temple. We've simply known it as a Metal Gear Shantae. This is a stealth section of the run, implied by the name. Similar to Run, they won't have any help, but they also got no equipment on their person. I mean, they can't take any damage, but they can get captured. The bigger problem here is a capture will send you right back to the beginning of the area rather than sending you back to the beginning of the room. So getting caught later on can rip your time majorly. So hopefully that won't be the case.
And she's also dressed like a space princess, but, you know.
Space princess. Yeah, my version wasn't good.
Oh, JT getting caught. I think I saw him get caught last time I saw him run, or 2 times ago too, with that same spot. If you miss that jump there, it can just, you'll pretty much always get caught because they'll turn back around pretty quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately taking a hit in his time there. I believe that guard will pretty much take about 35-ish to 40 seconds off your run. So as mentioned, the capture is very deadly to your run.
Taking it a little slower this time, and getting it.
Nice. This kid doing his roundup for the sarcophagi and get his passcode in at some point. Also forgot to mention Death to Joe, because he deserves it.
Oh no, it looks like JT got caught again.
Oh.
That's really unfortunate. That's even a worse spot to get caught in.
Yeah, that one's a good 50 seconds as well. So yeah, unfortunately Nori having some trouble here, so he'll just be hoping to get through this time and just put it behind him and move on. No, well,
falling down, and I didn't know you could get caught just by falling down there. That's interesting.
What would have happened there is he would have got caught. He would have probably jumped a bit too early, getting caught, and that just puts Shantae in a stationary position. So the Stealth Temple not being his friend at all here. Well, I think Kid tried to get an additional heart container. It seemed, well, at least it looked like he was. He went into the squid room.
Not sure what that was about. You need 4 squids, and I don't think he's picked up any. So, what's interesting, as an aside about that, is even if you play 100% run in this game, you actually don't need to get any extra hearts. So despite the fact you collect all the squids, you'll still only keep the 2 hearts unless you actually want to upgrade.
Yeah. Nori taking it easy. Can't say I blame him at this point.
But he finally gets through, and that's a lot. Since in this route is any percent. We don't need to collect anything else in this temple, and using those bonus keys from earlier, you could just open all 3 doors and leave.
Yeah, pretty much those stockpile keys come into play here, and this is the 2/3 cut of the temple that we talked about earlier. Definitely worth doing it. Saves you a good minute off your run, usually.
Not just that, is if you don't have the keys, you actually have to go through another stealth section, where again, if you get caught, you'll get set back to the beginning, though you can, in a normal setting of the game, open up a shortcut so that you can go out the other way into the main room, but obviously in the speedrun you probably wouldn't do that anyway.
Nah. Yeah, I think Kid got a couple more super pipe balls. I'm not sure how many more he got. He definitely at least got 1 more. So I think he's got about at least 2 or 3. With at least a milk as well in possession. So his item management's looking pretty alright so far.
Well, Kid unfortunately getting the same missed jump there at that top of that chain.
Ooh. Those guards are earning their paycheck.
That timing on that's pretty tight. It's not frame perfect or anything, but you do have to be very fluid to make that.
Yeah, if you're in the wrong position, you end up bumping your head, and you're more than likely going to get caught. So you really don't want that to happen, of course. Nori making his way over to the next Den of Evil, the Lost Catacombs. This area is usually pretty straightforward. They'll just make their way over to a room full of purple blocks and then make their way down to then head over to the respective boss. However, he may consider going for one of the keys in here for the additional item drops. I think Nori may consider that, considering his item management at this point.
Looks like he's going to do just that.
Yeah,
And
that's fair enough.
It's a good spot to get a key. It doesn't... I don't know. I have to wonder, does it actually take extra time to get this one compared to a later one?
Depends on your execution of the room. Optimally, it doesn't actually cost you too much time. If you could do it optimally, you'd probably lose about 3 seconds versus the next fastest key.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, I haven't timed anything because, no. But that one always seemed like it was a really quick one to me, so...
Yeah, it's certainly not a major time loss overall, and especially if you get like Nori did again, that Super Monster Milk there, it just makes it worth it. Yeah, you take a bit of time loss, but to have that additional item in your repertoire is definitely...
Nori, a little bit down on health. He wants to be really careful, because one hit will trigger that auto potion, and he doesn't want to lose it.
Oh, I mean, we've got several regular Monster Milks as well, so he might actually be set in the milk department.
Got a super from the Scorp Girl, which is good.
Well, so he's at least got 2 Super Monster Milks, and I'm sure he's got enough milks in general for the run, so I'd be interested to see whether or not he purchases any more. I mean, he's intended his shop route to include one more shop at this point, as he's only taken one. So, depending on what he's got spare left after he picks up the mandatory stuff that he's missing, then he may consider picking up an additional Super Monster Milk just to give him the extra edge. As he now take on the Squid Baron. One thing we know about Squid Baron, he is a scripted fight. We know in which order he's going to go about it. So the aim of this, they'll want to beat him before he starts eating, ideally. And depending on where in the script we defeat him, when it comes to phase 2, they'll decide to either let him pull back or just go straight for him. In other words, trying to manipulate him so they know that the next phase will open up with an eating phase, so they can just wail on him, as the DPS per second versus his healing is, well, far greater.
JT, looks like he missed it.
Well, for 40, 40 got him enough damage in. No, he didn't, did he? I can't remember now.
Oh, in fact, he has to do the... He's not having a very good fight at all, actually.
It's still all right. Just unfortunately, didn't get the eating phase that he wanted.
Well, but he...
Unfortunately, his items are worn out as well.
I've seen, there's probably been at least 3 or 4 times Rod has died to Squid Barons in this tournament so far.
There's been a couple of Squid Baron. There's been a few to Steel Maggot as well. 2 of the main bosses that have ripped a few runs so far in this tournament. Luckily, Nori does not suffer that fate, and hopefully, Kid will not suffer that fate either as he makes his way down.
Mm-hmm. Kid not going to the Scorp Girl key, however. Going to the purple room, which I believe did actually claim a run earlier today, unfortunately, but looks like he's doing pretty well. He got through it pretty smoothly, actually.
Yeah, nicely done. And yeah, I believe Kid has lost his auto potion. Nori still has his.
Did he? I didn't see him lose it, but alright.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't lost it.
No, Kid, I haven't seen him lose it, but...
Oh, no, Kid... Oh, I thought he did. I thought he lost it to Empress. Unless I'm mistaken. I'm probably mistaken, I don't know.
Oh, you are, since he just used it now.
Oh. God damn it, Turkey! Commentator's Curse strikes again. Yeah, I think I'm going to ban myself after today.
Still unfortunate that he lost it there. Of course, you always want that. It's very helpful to keep toward the final boss who can one-shot you otherwise.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nori make his way through the casual nightmare section, actually, Mudbog Island. A couple of low ceilings here, there's a plenty of enemies. As long as he keeps his charge, he should be fine.
It's pretty tricky to actually keep the charge. You have to know exactly when to jump. And if you lose it, it can be annoying because you get all these enemies that might be jumping on you or smacking you with their tentacles, and it's a mess. But if you get through it smoothly, like JT seems to have, it makes it look so much nicer than the original playthrough. Anyone who's played this casually probably hated that area because you don't have the risky boots yet.
Yeah, noticing kids not using any boss for Squid Baron. I'm curious about that.
Oh, there, just use added them.
He's using it mid-fight. Okay, well, probably using it for the additional properties of the milk. They actually do heal as well. A Monster Milk will heal you up a half heart, whereas the Super Monster Milk will also heal you a full heart. So that could have been the purpose behind that. As Nori make his way to the keys, not the keys, the coins. Sorry, don't know the difference. In the Village of Lost Souls, and this is for a very fun game, riveting game, in fact, of heads and tails. RNG incarnate, here we go. And pretty much what he's going to be going. When he gets all the keys, he'll make it way back to the center where the free gamers are. I said keys again. God damn. Wow. Okay, let's try that again. When he gets all the coins, he'll be making his way back to the center room to have to play this game with the gamers. As mentioned, it is RNG, so he'll be basically selecting heads throughout it and hoping that it works out in his favour. The one thing we do know, at least, that there is a fail-safe in there, so should you fail the game on 3 occasions, the 4th one will always be a guaranteed victory.
Yeah, it was really nice of them to put that in, because otherwise it could be really annoying. Even just casually, I could see that just being, Kid seems to be having controller issues, but he's back to normal now. Okay.
Yeah, makes it past the old Squid Baron.
And JT seeming to have to use all 3 of his tries, actually, but, you know. Again, Eric, not going to be that much time lost, even if you get the worst case scenario, thankfully. Just because...
They can put a dent in there, but luckily on this occasion, they only trolled him really once, and then it was pretty nice after that, so not a bad gamers. As he will take that nice little hopeful flame up to a mystery guy who is yet to be determined. Although we pretty much know who he is, but...
some people think he's Shantae's father. Some people think he's Roddy Top's father, so who knows?
Oh, so he's the Darth Vader of this series, is he? Oh, I can't believe I said that. Probably made no sense either. Yeah, they have to get that manly musk, because the next lab will not let you in unless you smell like a dirty old man, so... It's a thing.
JT is about to show off the incredible power of the risky shuffle here, which normally, even though you get the risky boots in this dungeon, you still have to go all the way around. Even in pirate mode, you'd still have to go all the way around to open these cages in the correct position so you can have a long enough runway to open that block you just opened. But with the risky shuffle, you can just use a very short little runway and get right in, skipping so much of the dungeon. And off to fighting Daggeron, what is it? The
massively misspelled
monstrosity, yes. It's probably...
And the monstrosity he is. Daggeron isn't too bad overall. He's actually a bit of an oddball of a boss fight. Long as your execution's well, he's pretty simple. He'll just swoop in and he'll either come straight at you or he'll go about halfway into the screen. However, he speeds up the more damage he takes. And there's a thing with him where, because he hits pretty hard, if he knocks you to the floor, there's a good chance in his later or near death state, he'll probably hit you again and rip a good amount of your health. So he may not be too bad overall, but he can kill you in an instant. So he's not someone to truly take lightly for certain.
JT having not too much trouble and getting past him. And now what's going to be interesting is as JT exits this dungeon, he actually is going to have to go all the way out of the Village of Lost Souls, because for some reason the game considers that inside, despite it being, outside. So you can't actually use the pirate flare until you leave it. It's kind of weird, but the way it is.
You use flares in indoor arenas, unfortunately, but it is what it is. As Kid's making his way to get all of his coins up ready for the gamers, and hopefully he doesn't get trolled. Give him 3 heads. Be nice, game. I dare you. Do it. I'm trying to be good with the commentator's curse. Once.
And JT entering Frostbite Island, which is not that difficult as long as you keep your charge up. The wolves that are there are no problem because they won't hit you as long as you're running, but if you do get hit, it takes away 6 of your 8 hit points, so you don't want that.
Yeah, they hit very hard, but they do have very low health, and they do also have opportunities to drop some major items as well. Should any runner be feeling as though their item management is a little low. So it's definitely worth a consideration. But yeah, the one thing you don't want to do is lose your charge in. There are points on the slopes of the zone where if you catch a certain pixel of it, it will stop your charge for reasons I don't know, but I've seen it happen to a few people, unfortunately. And I'm not sure, did Kid get a perfect gamers there?
I didn't see any dallying. I missed it, actually.
Finally, my commentator did good! Thank God for that.
And JT cannoning up to Propeller Town here. This is actually one place where you can't really skip too much with the New Game Plus outside of, going through it a little more quickly because of the cannon, but you still have to go through the whole area. However, there is a trick that was recently discovered that will allow you to skip. What did we determine? It's about 10 seconds faster, I think?
It's roughly 10 seconds faster, but it's you've only have a few frames to pull it off, known as the auto potion jump, if he decides to go for it. But yeah, with this section, you get to see a lot of decent fluidity and movement and how some of the equipment mesh very well together. It's a great example of how that can go.
Right. In the normal course of the game, playing normally, you'll have all of the equipment except for the cannon here. So you're supposed to just use the hat mostly. But there's a spot right here where they they know you probably want to use the boots, and you could just kind of fly through this whole area.
Oh no! Oh no! I think my commentary did actually curse him. Kid unfortunately took a death, and now he's got to deal with the gamers again.
Oh, that sucks.
Damn it!
And this time they're not being that nice.
But at least he put a save in place, so he's still in the run at least. But there's an unfortunate setback. Nori opted not to go for the auto potion jump there, which is fair enough. I mean, can't blame him, but has to keep the safety back. At least then.
There's trouble getting a charge to go through this room, but eventually getting it, and now talking to Polo, getting the targeting module, and piecing out.
And I believe he worshipped the bolo, so good man, Nori, good man. Right, so first what you'll be seeing Nori doing, you'll be doing some backtracking to do a little bit of a fetch quest to enable the access to the next Den of Evil, the final Den of Evil, in fact. First things first, he's got to get this lost soul deciphered. Zombies know a lot about souls. That's just fact here. So, yeah, just going to pay a little visit to Write-Offs just to get it deciphered, and it belongs to one Joe. For those who may or may not remember, Joe's the poor soul that turned to stone at the hands of a petrification spell. So with this, they'll be able to help him out a little bit.
And then you can trade the Death Mask for a Pirate Flare, which is very convenient, because otherwise you wouldn't actually have a Pirate Flare there. So it's definitely not a bad thing. So then, after he gets back to the island, JT's going to my favorite FPC. I don't know about anyone else's.
Totally not. Yeah, that's all I could say. And hopefully, he will verify his run with good old Nutbuster.
Good old Nutbuster.
No dice. Unless he autocates. Kid okay with diagonal?
Yeah, he verified his run.
Nice little adjustment there.
Kid, meanwhile, knocking down Dagron. Not having too much issues.
Yeah, what about that? He took a hit at the beginning, but apart from that, not a bad fight at all. So, down goes the massively misspelled monstrosity as Joe reawakens and then just walks off.
And Sky's like, he's not my boyfriend anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she certainly wasn't too happy about that, I can assure you.
And
And let the lab be a thing. Opens says me as Techno Baron gets sent to half genie hero.
something like that, yeah. Yeah, so he could summon anime mermaids. I mean, you know, whatever.
Some old counterfeit mermaids for you. But that's a different game entirely, so. And Kid'll be make his way into Frostbite as Nori goes ready for the what is it called again? The abandoned factory.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of keys he'll need to collect before he can progress, but thanks to the risky shuffle again, he's able to cut this dungeon roughly by half.
He does skip the key at the top because he got the Scorp Girl key earlier.
Yeah, that is indeed one thing to do. If you go for that Scorp Gal key, you generally skip one of these keys, obviously, and the top one is a little slower, but not by much, but it is a safer one to go for versus the other key, just because of a particular ice block.
But ice block, not trolling today. And now here's the Steel Maggot, which is perhaps the worst RNG of all the bosses. See, there's those three, what do you call them? Buttons, I guess, on top. And you have to hit them in order, but what order, we don't know. Unfortunately, we have absolutely no idea. You just have to take a guess and, well, take a guess.
Oh, yeah.
JT not having good guesses, unfortunately. And it's also very easy to, unfortunately, hit the wrong button even when you're not trying.
Yeah, the idea is to, as mentioned, get the right pattern that'll expose the maggot's tail. Then you just wail on him and just dismantle him. Luckily, all the maggot really does is just go back and forth. However, that bullet spread attack that he does when you hit a wrong button does do a full heart of damage. But fortunately for Nori, he had an extra bubble to use, so that pretty much negates that outright.
Yeah, if you get an extra bubble, this is the place you want to use it. You don't have to worry about the damage, and you don't have to duck every time he shoots them.
And Kid going to be having his traversing of Propeller Town. So we get to see some more speedy fun time there. As mentioned, it's a nice area to see everything, see all the equipment mesh into one, so to speak. But with Maggot down, all that leaves Nori with is one Pirate Master.
And he used that extra pirate flare he got earlier to save, what is it, 6 seconds or something?
Yeah, the flaring off of after tempo is about 6 seconds. Not the biggest time to say, but if you usually have a flare there more times than not. But if you end up being a flare short, it's not the biggest loss. But yeah, first got to check up on the Pirate Master, make sure he's doing okay, and he's not too happy, I would say.
No, I don't think he likes the fact that Risky is wearing his face as her clothing.
Yeah, we mentioned something earlier about something being dark. I think this is probably the darkest part of the game. Funnily enough, but yeah, what actually happened with Risky as part of the story is she actually used to work for the Pirate Master once upon a time during the Great Genie War that took place many time ago. But she had enough of taking orders and called a good old mutiny, took his face, and yeah, safe to say Pirate Master's not impressed. So I just leaves Nori to...
He took over Sequin Land. It's all dark now, but... Oh. He lost his charge there for some reason. Weird. So upcoming is the final dungeon, but it's pretty much made trivial by using a little technique with the hat and the cannon to gain a couple pixels of height, which gives you just barely.
Pirate flare activated. Take that. Take that. Tinkerbats. Oh yeah. Flare activated. Take that! Take that!
Oh, that would explain it.
Ah.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
oh no, we got the restream bots back in.
Can you hear us now?
Are we live?
Super monster mode.
Okay, we seem to be
okay,
good now.
yeah. We made it back just in time.
For Kid to fight the final boss. Let's see how he does.
Yeah, so right, yeah, welcome back, and unfortunately we've already conducted our interview, so thanks for joining us. No.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're gone.
Yes, we have Mr. NoriMaki who's joined us in after his race. GG on the victory, buddy. Obviously, I'm gonna guess you probably wasn't too happy overall. I'm gonna assume the Switch version was a bit alien to you, at least in terms of the feel of the controls.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I got 0 time to practice for it this week because of work, so I went in extremely cold. I hadn't done a run in I think since my last race, to be honest. I haven't even done any sort of practice or anything. Careful, kid. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Fortunate death there, but he did save, so...
Okay, phew. Okay.
And yeah, thank you, Mr. Fiesel, for helping us out with the chat there. Truly appreciate it, mate.
And
But,
remember, again, Kid, this is pretty new to this game. It's not as easy as some people make it look.
no, and what really is difficult, and you probably noticed throughout the run that like many times of the movement not quite being right. I don't really want to talk about Tanline Temple, but let's talk about Tanline Temple. The reaction and the platforming felt very sluggish using the Wii U Pro controller, or the Switch Pro controller. And I noticed early on, even just going through Scuttletown, that there was a little bit of an input delay on it, and then it just didn't seem to let me do the finesse that normally goes into the platforming. So that caught twice, just because of, first the vertical chain room where Shantae wasn't responding the way that I'm used to, and then that jump going into the last guard room, completely just not even happening. I hit the button when I normally do, and Shantae just went, nope, I'm going to go get caught. So, yeah, it was extremely alien doing it without having practice at all, and it showed. And then, I'm a D-pad user when it comes to my platformers, so we all know that they kind of act like I'll say like an Xbox controller in that regard. It feels like it floats, and even though you're pressing right, it's going to register some other input like up, and I kept grabbing chains in Propeller Town when I didn't want to because of that.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that, unfortunately. Just like, Jake. Anyway, GG2 Kid finishing a 108.40 on his main time. Unfortunately, I'm not in the SRL room to be able to give the official SRL time.
108.41 officially for SRL.
Nice, and a
GG
GG.
Kid. GG JT.
Yeah, your RNG wasn't too bad as well from what I could make out.
No, I really couldn't complain on that front. I had plenty of items, honestly, and I probably overfarmed the Scorpions. I ended up with like 2 regular Monster Milks in my inventory by the end of the run. So I wasn't paying too close attention because I was more focused on how to complete, and I was worried that after that 3 capture freaking Tanline Temple, I might be behind. I mean, I know Kid's new to the game, but I was playing really bad, and it scared me for a minute. I was like, I just need to get moving here. And the RNG did feed me well. Super Pike Balls were great. No problems there.
Yeah, at least at the end of the day, you got the victory. That gives you a 2 versus 1, I believe, in the brackets, and that leaves you with your rematch or your reschedule with Cabbage to determine your position.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But Kid, I think you're here now.
Hello.
Mr. Kid, welcome, and GG on the completion of the run.
Thanks. Wish it could have been a little bit better with that RNG, but
Yeah, that's like, it gave you a good amount of Super Pipe Balls, but I'm not too sure about everything else, it seemed. But yeah, welcome to Pyrus Curse. It is a thing, unfortunately.
Hey, this was my 20th run, by the way.
Yay!
GG on number 20.
But in all fairness, you did at least keep up relatively well with your PB that I'm aware of anyway. So
I was minute 30 over, but, for not playing the game for about almost 4 weeks, not too bad.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good for a Duress run, and a run with this length, minute 30 isn't too bad in general.
Yeah, my controller got disconnected a few times. I was button mashing a little hard, and then my hands were sweaty and kept slipping off of the jump button.
It seems I'm getting blamed for cursing you. Unfortunately, there was 2 occasions, I think one for each of you, where I said something and something bad happened. Nori, for you was the flare.
When
Your usual flare drop.
That flare was actually a blessing. I didn't complain about it for once because I didn't get the gems that I needed in the beginning sequence, so I only bought the 3. So getting that flare put me back on the 2 shop route. So for once,
So that actually worked out.
yeah, for once that actually worked out. And yeah, I laughed a lot, obviously, when the flare dropped, but then I went, you know what? I can't be mad. I'm actually really happy for that drop. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kid actually got a perfect gamers. Unfortunately, suffered a death not long after, so I'm gonna guess you was a bit unhappy with that, especially having to deal with the gamers for a second time.
Yeah, especially since the next room was the save point. I couldn't have kept that death for like another 10 or 15 seconds.
So, all right, just blame me. I seem to be quite the curse when it comes to commentating on runs recently. So,
let's
I'm
commentate
sorry.
our run. That's this weekend.
I don't think I'm permitted to do that, unfortunately.
Darn it.
So it's all right. I'm going to forfeit. Just let you have the win. I'm going to let you have the win because I don't want to be scared. Yeah. Is there anything on either of your runs that stuck out for you? Anything you'd like to mention?
I was pretty happy with that Dagron fight. That's like the cleanest I've ever had for him.
Yeah, I think you only took one hit at the beginning, and then after that, you just took him out without much hassle. So, GG.
Yeah, and Empress Spider. After you gave me those tips, I kind of floated up there for a little bit too. More so than I did a month ago.
All right, anything from you, Nori?
Hashtag Wii U is still faster. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say. It's I've got to shake this one off, and now I've got to debate on my next race because I can't do this performance against Cabbage. I'll take another loss if I do. So I'm probably just gonna have to hope and pray and continue to figure out why the PC version keeps crashing, and hopefully we can circumvent it before that happens. But my next race with Cabbage is actually slated for Sunday already, so I've only got like a day.
I mean, you could
some
just
confidence in it.
You could just safety save, but it's still.
And I do. I mean, I can still pull a 54 on the PC even with the safety saves, but the problem is you just don't know when that game's going to crash, and it depends on when it would, how painful that would be. But I may risk it just because I can't do this. This actually really hurts my average times too for the 58. And there's a factor there when it comes to the slotting for brackets. So I'm gonna have to pay attention.
Yeah, but either way, fair play to both you and GG on you both. If you like what you watched here, be sure to follow the runners here. Both very good in what they do, putting on a pretty good showing today. Also, be sure to follow my co-commentator Melody here as well.
And make sure to follow Turkey when he plays. He just plays and plays and plays, and you get to see Shantae for a long time.
Oh, it's too fun to me. I can't put the game down. Yeah, apart from that, just to mention a couple of upcoming races for the weekend. We've got 3 actually taking place over the weekend. Our next one will be on Speed Gaming 1, Mijati versus Tina Hacks at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And that followed us up with Sunday, as both myself and Nori take our final races up. I go up with Kidofseph here, and Nori takes on Cabbage. Both my one's at 12 p.m. Eastern, and Nori versus Cabbage is at 4 p.m. Eastern. With Speed Gaming to be determined at this point. So I guess I'll see you there, kid. Oh, I don't want to race you. I'm scared.
Did you just see that execution? I wouldn't say it was great.
You're holding out. I swear you're holding out.
I'm just gonna stay up the next 48 hours. I'm gonna do runs until I can, until I get that sub 50.
A giant sandbag.
48 hours straight, and then I'm just gonna sleep right through the whole run.
Yeah, with that being said, I believe that'll be it from us for tonight. So if you'd like to see more, be sure to tune in for tomorrow's race as well as the local race. We have our final week next week for the group stages. And with that, I'll be TKY and I'll be signing off. So take care, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great night, and join us tomorrow for more races.